All right, well, I want to welcome everybody to the Beat Museum. Good crowd, great crowd on a Saturday night, and we're here to celebrate Harold Norse's centennial, 100 years. So let's give Harold a hand. My name is Bob Booker. I'm the event coordinator. You can always go to Kerouac.com and find out what we're doing here. We've got a lot of terrific things lined up coming up. We got the Living Theater. It's going to be here in August, late August, and they're going to do something either here or a venue close by. So watch for that. Kerouac.com. We'll be announcing that a little bit more specifically real soon. So I'm glad you're all here. You know, there's so much we can say. Harold has been here a number of times. He was here on his 91st birthday, and then again, I think when he was 98 or 99. But just recently, Todd Swindle, our host tonight, came out with a terrific book, The Selected Harold Norse here. I Am Going to Fly Through Glass. Selected poems by Harold Norse. So check this out. We also have a lot of really rare, out-of-print booklets as well, and they're downstairs on the front counter. I'm sure they're priced reasonably, but you could probably get Todd to sign some of this as well. So check that out. So I think without further ado, I came in here to set up chairs, and here I am. But without further ado, let me please welcome Todd Swindle.
Thanks, Paul. It's great to be back here at the Beat Museum. Like you said, Harold, read here a number of times. It's really fantastic to hear that the Living Theater is going to be coming out. I don't know if folks were aware. Harold was very good friends with Judith Molina and Julie Beck. I was actually helped them get the Living Theater started. So it continues on as we continue on. Really great to have everyone here gathered. So we're actually going to start off. I got a real special treat for you all tonight. We're going to start off with a short, brief performance of some of Harold's poetry by Jason Jin. Jason Jin is a multimedia performing artist and writer based out of Los Angeles, with strong roots in rural Iowa. In recent years, he has brought his own queer spirit to interpret and stage the works of Constantine P. Cavafy, poet and filmmaker James Broughton, as well as Paul Monette. And he's excited for the experience of working with Harold Norse, as we are excited to have him. You can find out more about Jason at jasonjen.com. That's Jen with 2 N's. So we're going to slide this on over. Make a little space.
Sure, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm going to present 5 poems by Harold. All my life I've been waiting. All my life I've been waiting for something unusual to happen. I may yet come into a windfall, National Endowment of the Hearts. All my life, I've been expecting a grand finale, an awakening, love erupting in the streets, in the bars, in classrooms, everyone dropping their guard, their pants, their skirts, cops weeping tenderly as they snap off your cuffs. Bankers giving away their money. Politicians telling the truth. Literary critics confessing they know nothing about writing or art. All my life, I've been waiting for something unusual to happen. Man's life. 9 months in the stench. then swaddling clothes among kisses, milk of the breast, enormous tears. Then the leash, the pram, and the child's frock, bib and short knickers, the best years. Then commences all the trouble of school. ABCs, hard whippings, and frostbite, mumps and measles, mess of potty and stool, a little scarlet fever, worms, the night. Then comes art. Hunger, daily toil. Comes rent, the government, and iron bars. Debts and hospitals, the piece of tale. In the summer, the sun. In winter, snow and hail. Then for the wind-up, with the blessing of God, comes death. Then it all finishes with hell. Let go and feel your nakedness. Let go and feel your nakedness. Tits ache to be bitten and sucked. Let go with smell of armpit and crotch. Let go with hole a tingle. Let go with tongue lapping hairy cunt. Lick feet, kiss ass, suck cock and balls. Let the whole body go. Let love come through. Let freedom ring. Let the whole body go. Let love come through. Let freedom ring. Let the whole body go. Let love come through. Let freedom ring. Let go with moans and erogenous zones. Let go with heart and soul. Let go the dead meat of convention. Wake up, the live meat of love. Let go with sense, pull out the stops, forget false teachings and lies. Let go with inherited belief. Let go of shame and blame in brief. Let go of worries held back in muscle and nerve. Let go of rigid rules and roles. Let go of uptight poses. Let go of your puppet self. Let go and renew yourself and be free. Let go the dead meat of convention. Wake up the live meat of love. Let go this moment, this hour, this day. Tomorrow will be too late. Let go of guilt and frustration. Let liberation and tolerance flow. Let go of phantom worries and fears. Let go of hours and days and years. Let go of hate and rage and grief. Let walls against ecstasy fall for relief. Let go of pride and greed. Let go of missiles and might and creed. Let go the dead meat of convention. Wake up the live meat of love. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up the live meat of love. Amen to that. Yes. So this next poem was written about a local bathhouse. What was the
Ridge Street Baths.
The Ridge Street Baths, which apparently contained an aquarium in the middle of it, as you will understand. Naked men in green heated water. Naked men in green heated water, floating beside tropical fish, whose electric colors vibrate in a shock of black. Light where green-gray jelly waves and something yellow darts through coral. someone descends to the water. His eyes, perfect body, stirs, mind, ripples. His eyes, perfect body, stirs, mind, ripples. His eyes, perfect body, stirs, mind, ripples. Eyes float on the surface. Music pours into the Minoan pool. Striped fish are having an orgy with an electric eel. Snaky tendrils sprout from the mouths of these young men, grabbing each other between the legs, where they explode Roman candles of dazzling sperm. In this wetness, feelings flower like muffled dreams, like boats shot into the sky, like sweat mingling with tongues, like a rapist wearing his victim's skin. In this wetness, feelings flower. Naked men in green, heated water. At the Café Trieste, the music of ancient Greece and Rome did not come down to us. But this morning I read Virgil's Eclogues, struck by the prophecy of a new era. A great cycle of centuries begins. Justice returns to earth. The golden age returns, he wrote. 30 years before the end of his millennium, describing the birth of the infant God come down from heaven. Jesus was 19 when Virgil died at 89. Will the golden age ever come? Same faces throw up each generation. Same races, emotions, struggles. All those centuries, those countries, languages, songs, discontents, they return here in San Francisco as I sit at the Café Trieste. Oh, recitative of years, oh, Paradiso sings the jukebox as Virgil and Verdi combine in this life to show this is the only golden age there'll ever be. This is the only golden age there'll ever be. This is the only golden age there'll ever be. Happy birthday, Harold.
Beat does indeed go on. So we're going to keep going, yeah? We're bring up our next speaker, Jim Naraki. Jim Naraki is a writer whose work has appeared in the Bay Area Reporter, San Francisco Chronicle, and a variety of other publications. His poetry is currently featured in Nimrod International Journal's LGBT theme issued Mirrors in Prisons, which I just got a copy of. I'm looking forward to reading it. He's a regular contributor to the Gay and Lesbian Review, where he's written, done a lot of stuff about Harold in that publication. Jim was also a very good friend of Harold's in his final years, and was among the people who worked with him with a lot of patience to help gather all the poetry that was Harold's collected poems that came out in 2003. I'm sure there's some downstairs in the bookstore called, oh, there we go. Thank you. In the Hub of the Fiery Force, a massive tome. And Jim was one of the folks that patiently held Harold's hand through that process. So, welcome up, Jim the Rock.
So I was going to say a couple words about how I knew Hal, and then read a couple poems. Oh, thank you. That's good. I first met Hal in 2002. I was writing for the Bay Area Reporter, and I was doing book reviews and arts, pieces for the BAR, which is, if you don't know it, it's the local, one of the local LGBT papers. And I would go in every couple weeks or so and sit with the arts editor and go through the books to, for review. And I went in there one day and was looking through the stacks, and this book jumped out at me. It was called Memoirs of a Bastard Angel, which, as most of you know, is his autobiography. And it came out in '89 originally, and then in 2002 it came out in paperback. And it had kind of a cool cover. I mean, frankly, that's what drew me to it. I didn't know Hal at the time. I hadn't heard of him. He'd probably kill me to hear me say it. But
He made up for it.
he really would. So I took it home and I read it. It's a huge book, but it's an amazing book. It's a page turner, and Hal knew everybody, seemingly did everything. And I finished this book and I thought, how did I not know about this guy? And was thinking about it. And of course, in the book, he's based in San Francisco, at least at the end of it. And I thought, well, and this was in 2002. And I thought, well, he can't still be alive. I mean, especially after some of the things he did. But but I got the phone book out in the days when we still hadn't really used phone books, and I looked up Norse, and there it was, Harold Norse, 157 Albion Street. And I thought, is that him? And so I called him up, and he answered the phone. Hello. And we started talking, and I arranged, to set up an interview with him to kind of go along with the article, the book review. And I went to his house and talked to him, had a great conversation, and I kind of felt compelled after the story came out to go back and keep visiting him. He was living on his own at 80-something, and there was something about him. He just kind of took you in, and you kind of fell in love with him. I mean, I did, and we developed a really great friendship. And then, of course, soon after that, we worked on the poetry book together, which was difficult. Hal had some memory issues, and so in some respects, it was kind of like rolling a rock uphill every time I worked with him, and then I would go back and he had forgotten things, so it was kind of sad. But we did make progress, and we got a lot done. So.
He's an independent.
Pardon me?
He's an independent, which is what we all want to be.
Yeah, I mean, he was, as you guys know from his work, he's an amazing character. He was unique. And he also was, I was really bowled over by his devotion to his craft. When I was working with him on his poetry, he would look at poems that were decades old and say, let's change this, or let's, he would edit these things, which was great. But it was also kind of hard to work with him to get the things right. But anyway, that's that. So I want to read a couple poems. I think I'll start with Hal's poem called I'm Not a Man. I didn't think I'd need these things, but I guess I do. Sorry about that. This is a great poem. It's one of my favorites, and I know a lot of people love it too. It's called I'm Not a Man. I'm not a man. I can't earn a living, buy new things for my family. I have acne and a small Peter. I'm not a man. I don't like football, boxing, and cars. I like to express my feelings. I even like to put an arm around my friend's shoulder. I'm not a man. I won't play the role assigned to me, the role created by Madison Avenue, Playboy, Hollywood, and Oliver Cromwell. Television does not dictate my behavior. I'm not a man. Once when I shot a squirrel, I swore that I would never kill again. I gave up meat. The sight of blood makes me sick. I like flowers. I'm not a man. I went to prison for resisting the draft. I do not fight when real men beat me up and call me queer. I dislike violence. I'm not a man. I have never raped a woman. I don't hate blacks. I do not get emotional when the flag is waved. I do not think I should love America or leave it. I think I should laugh at it. I'm not a man. I've never had to clap. I'm not a man. Playboy is not my favorite magazine. I'm not a man. I cry when I'm unhappy. I'm not a man. I do not feel superior to women. I'm not a man. I don't wear a jockstrap. I'm not a man. I write poetry. I'm not a man. I meditate on peace and love. I'm not a man. I don't want to destroy you. And then this is a poem that I wrote about Al after he died, which was printed in the memorial booklet that Todd put together. It's called At Albion. The steps up to your place were blue hours in Tangier, haunted Roman shadows. A Paris hotel rank above the street of the heart. So many young men, skin olive, gold, brown, dragging with you on white cigarettes like a sacrament. In Barcelona, Naples, one more shaded room, sleeping streets, a sultry smile from an afternoon corner. Who is this American who speaks the mother tongue so well? Just near your door, one step worn through, almost gone, a broken Brooklyn hanging like a page or a reverie. You'd warn me about it, and each time I'd step over, looking down into its eye. Memory can swallow you up. You meet me with your gaze, but your mouth wavers, at play, undecided. What language now to recite again the beautiful words?
Thank you so much, Jim. That was wonderful. I'm glad you read your poem. Need my handouts, yeah. This poem that Jim read, this was something I put together after Harold died. There's copies downstairs if you want to buy them. It's called The End is the Beginning, because that was actually Harold's last words, recorded words, when he died in 2009. And I didn't really have, I met Harold through, I was an activist with ACT UP San Francisco, radical AIDS activist, and that's how I met Harold, through a Chicano surrealist poet named Ronnie Burke. And so it was really after he died that Tate and I kind of started this, I just got these poems together with Jim and Neely Tchaikovsky, his good friend Neely, who's not here, he's in Italy right now. Neely's in it, and A.D. Winans, the local poet, Eddie Woods in Amsterdam, Gerard Malanga. That was just people that knew and loved Harold, and Mel Clay had a collage here in the middle. And it's kind of grown from there. The book came out of in 2014, and it's got a really great introduction by Neely Tchaikovsky, and it grows on and on. I should also mention that I do a website. It's called HaroldNorse.com, and that's where I document all this kind of stuff about Harold that I've been working on in the last couple of years. I was also going to mention that I just got back last week. I was in Manchester, England, attending a conference of the European Beat Studies Network. That was something that started a few years ago by a guy named Oliver Harris. You might have heard of writer Oliver Harris. He's a guy that's edited and republished all of Burroughs' books in the last 15 years. And he started this network, and what's really cool is it's academics and then people like me who just are into it. And everybody gets together, and I did a presentation on Harold and his cut-ups that he did at the Beat Hotel, where he lived in Paris in the early 60s. And it was really great to see. There were a lot of presentations on Ginsberg and Burroughs and Kerouac, but there were also a lot of presentations on lesser-known people. They did a San Francisco thing on Philip Lamantia and Jay DeFeo. There were 4 separate sessions on the poet Ruth Weiss. I don't know if people have heard of Ruth Weiss. She's one of the original Beat poets. She's still going strong. She performs all the time in conjunction with the Beat Museum. do go see Ruth Weiss if you ever have the chance. She's phenomenal. There were, as I said, 4 presentations on her. So a lot of young scholars, a lot of young women scholars, talking about women associated in the Beat Generation. So there's a lot more still to be learned and expressed, and I was really pleased to see a lot of young students interested in Harold and aware of Harold, from Spain to Italy to Denmark. And Harold would have been very excited, and I know he probably would have been hitting on every single one of them at the conference. But there's a lot more to learn, and so I'm heartened to see everyone here. Even though Harold didn't necessarily get this in his life, the fact that it's continuing on, I think, is testament to the power of his work, the pertinence of his work, and the relevance of it. So we're going to continue on now with our third presenter. Painter, photographer, filmmaker Tate Swindell also is a poet whose collections include Palpitations, Tearing Down Walls of Cellars and Basements, The Creation of Deadlines, and Photo Poems. Tate is also the founder of Unrequited Records, where he's released spoken word recordings by Beat associated writers like Jack Micheline, Harold Norse, and Herbert Huncke. His next release is a digital download and vinyl record by and about the Chicano surrealist, poet, and radical AIDS activist Ronnie Burke. It is titled A Man of Letters and will be available later this summer. And I believe there's copies of his recording for Harold. It's called Harold Norse, of course. It was a reading that Harold gave in Amsterdam in 1984 that was originally recorded by his very good friend Eddie Woods. Eddie put it out on cassette in the 80s, and Tate has re-released it. You can get it online, the digital download, or the record. I know some of you may not still have record players, but you'll want to take a look at the record before you go out. It's a beautiful gatefold, colored vinyl piece, and it's proved really popular. I sold 2 of them when I was in Manchester. So, welcome, Tate.
Thanks to the Beat Museum for putting this on, Brandon for an amazing flyer.
Yes.
Your poem was, I can't wait to read it again because you summed up Harold so brilliantly that, yeah, I can't wait to check it out. And it's nice to see new faces, old faces. I was just thinking how, you know, with Harold, it's like a family, and the family's grown. Some people I knew before I met Harold, some after, and it's really beautiful to see everyone here. So Todd and I met Harold in the late 90s. He mentioned our friend Ronnie Burke, poet, introduced us. And at the time, you know, Harold lived on Albion Street for 20-something years. 30 years. And I was living on the other side of Albion, just across the way. And it's funny because this whole week, Harold's been popping up in so many ways. Just, you know, and I see the signs. And so we had the event at Mechanics Institute Wednesday night, and a friend of mine, Shabby, was there, and he said, hey, you know, doing this comedy night in the right near you. I live at Church and Market, right near you. It's in this basement. It's really cool. And he says it's at 167 Albion, which Harold lived at 157. It was next door. I get there, see the comedy, go out into the courtyard, and up next door is Harold's place. And it's funny because I started talking to the guy who lived there, and he said, oh yeah. As I didn't say anything at first, and he said, oh yeah, this beat poet used to live next door. And, you know, they're celebrating his 100th birthday this week, and I wasn't saying anything, and then my friend Shabby tripped in, and we started talking, and he talked about how he used to see him, so it was really cool, but like I said, he's been popping up everywhere. So I want to read really quick a poem Todd read Wednesday night, and it's fabulous, by James Broadman, for Harold. He wrote it on Harold's birthday in 1986. It's called Happy Birthday, Harold, for Harold Norse, by James Broadman. Hello, Harold, here and there. Hello, Harold, everywhere. Harold in Italy, Harold in Holland. Harold in Tangier, Harold in hell. Everywhere that I have been, Harold was already in. Harold is a Norse of wandering force, prankish of nature and intercourse. Norse is a heralding widespread source of salty lust and sweet remorse. Harold in Paris, Harold in Sonoma, Harold in euphoria, Harold in the dumps. Everywhere that I have spotted, Harold has already squatted. Harold, hello Harold, near and far. Hello Harold, here you are. So one thing that was really great about Harold's place, I mean, just to me, I'm sure Todd probably felt the same way, but it was in a way for us like a portal to go into, not just with the stories that he would tell, or we would draw out of them, or get him off of, because he would get into the same things a lot, but just the decor, everything was still from Harold's travels, and it was really beautiful to step back into that, and it was such a warm, inviting space. The sun, it was a pleasure to be able to go over to Harold's. And then in his later years, our good friend Mark helped him get into Hayes Valley Care, and that's one of the ways where the family expanded. Nancy came in and was very gracious to visit him very often, and I would make it when I could. Neely would go, 80 Winans, and even though he wasn't writing at that time, the connection was still really strong. He was really present in the moment, and just still, Kevin Killian brought this up the other day, just excited about, like, enthusiastic about things. Even though he would kvetch about the situation, both present sometimes and old of, lack of recognition, other things. He was just still so full of love, and it shone through. We're lucky to have a lot of memories. We've working on a film where we've interviewed people in this room for it, and we have a lot of footage because every time, both back on Albion and in Hayes Valley, we went to see Harold, we would always bring a video camera and recorded everything. And I mean, he was a card. He was a bit of a ham because he would pretend like he didn't know it was on, but he knew it was on. And we have bits where he's conducting and doing his thing, but he was very beautiful. So I'm going to read a poem also from the Memorial Collection about visiting. This was written just after he passed. Harold Norse, of course. Lost all your interests, stolen from the memory banks, your mind eroding, soon your soul will be floating. In my mind, I've kissed you goodbye at least 1,000 times. Every time I open the door to room 13, the dream continues. We talk of mothers and cry, the only place I can do this. Don't forget to rub the Buddha's belly. I woke up naked in jail. You woke up bald for the first time at 91. They burned all the money. You're free to go. The wildfire has cremated the body. Your soul free to go. Your mother is dead. You heard it on the radio. My friend the bastard carries the moon on his shoulders. His teeth watch him sleep. He gazes at the rain and longs for a shower. His pants are sagging and too long, baggy from the weight he's lost since being in this place. Too long because his body is leaving so the soul can run naked and enjoy the wind like it used to. He smiles wide, my friend the poet. He smiles wide when he finally recognizes who I am, who I appear to be. He smiles wide, my friend the poet. He smiles wide even though he has no idea who I am. He is 91, my friend the poet, but he is younger than you or me. You should have seen his eyes the day I played a recording of his voice 40 years ago. A deep, thunderous voice, cutting lines in the sky. You should have seen his eyes. One of the main things that a gift that Harold gave to me was, like Jim said, he wrote, he created. He was always creating. We couldn't call him. We were visiting, or he had something, any business. 11:30. Don't ring the bell. Don't call before that. He's writing. Every day he's writing, and that's what an artist must do. So that is something he definitely instilled. And it's also something I think that I picked up from being around him and Neely, and all poets, all artists. We feel like we need more recognition, but they just talked. Harold, one of the things that he lamented, because it's a big thing with Harold, why he wasn't any more this, why wasn't he more that, even though he had enjoyed some success. And for a brief period, like he didn't push himself anymore. He wasn't out there. He wasn't in the game. In the 80s, he had a roommate that ripped him off, stole a lot of manuscripts, stole a lot of things. Harold had health problems because of this, triple bypass. So the trust issue was a bit of a thing for a while, but the love was always there because then he let all of us into his life and into his home again. Even our friend Benny Basti ended up staying the night at her place several times, which was pretty amazing when I heard it. Harold getting out of his, comfort zone. But yeah, just a reminder to keep going, keep pushing yourself, don't isolate yourself, put yourself out there, because you can see it. It's all through Harold's poems, and it's another gift. So I want to read one that kind of sums it up. It's called "I Would Not Recommend Love." My head felt stabbed by a crown of thorns, but I joked and rode the subway and ducked into school johns to masturbate and secretly wrote of teenage hell, because I was different, the first and last of my kind, smothering acute sensations in swimming pools and locker rooms, addict of lips and genitals, mad for buttocks that Whitman and Lorca and Catullus and Marlowe and Michelangelo and Socrates admired. And I wrote, "Friends, if you wish to survive, I would not recommend love." So we're going to have a Q&A in just a second. I'm hoping that, before we move on, Todd will just say a few more words, because the program Wednesday night was just totally amazing. Kevin Killian, Regina Marler, and Todd, and Jason's incredible performances of Harold's work. So yeah, please stick around. We're going to open it up for a minute, and thanks everyone for being here.
I'm going to grab this bust. I don't know if people know the writer Linda King. People familiar with Linda King? She's a really great writer. Most people just know her through Bukowski, but she's also a sculptress, and she did this bust. She's done a couple. There's Jack Michelin over there in 81. It's Harold's kind of era with us as well. Wow, this is like so awesome. This is great. I'm having a fabulous time, and I'm sure you are as well. So many things are coming to me as this all comes up. One thing I was thinking about, Harold, when he went to Hayes Valley Care, it was really kind of hard because I so much identified with him in his home in Albion Street. And, he was a poet. He'd always been a poet. He was writing when he was a kid in Brooklyn. He was born in Brooklyn in 1916. And it was so much of who he was and his identity. To take him out of that, my fear was that he would just wither, And A.D. Winans, who's a local San Francisco poet, couldn't be here tonight. He told this story about when he and Neely went to visit him at Hayes Valley Care, and Harold pulled out his book and read a poem. And then at the end of it, he closed the book and he said, "You know what? I was a good poet." Past tense. And I thought that was actually a really beautiful thing, because for Harold, he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He probably didn't get everything that he wanted to get, but I guess what I'm trying to convey is that at least at the end of his life, he felt that he could let it go, that he'd done his work. And those last 2 years in Hayes Valley Care were really beautiful. He had some really sweet love. We had really fun times around him. And in fact, in that memorial collection, there's a piece by this British scholar named Douglas Field, who's a good friend of mine, part of the European Beat Studies Network, who came out and visited Harold. And Doug's a bit of a cutie, and he's got that northern English accent. And they would flirt all the time. That was the other thing with Harold. He was like flirting all the time, even when he was 91 or 92. And then, as Tate mentioned, we did Wednesday was actually Harold's 100th birthday. And I did early in the day, my friend Mira, you'll see later, she's hidden behind there with the camera. We went to 157 Albion Street, and I went out in front of it, and Mira pulled out her cell phone, and I read that Broughton poem. We recorded it, and we just put it up online, and it was kind of neat to do it, get it up on the Facebook. And Joel Singer, who was Broughton's partner and collaborator, filmmaker collaborator for the following years, through Jason, because Jason's actually done a whole performance piece about James Broughton. There was a documentary that came out a couple years called Big Joy, that if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. And Jason did a whole performance around it. It's astounding. And anyway, so I get this clip up, and Joel Singer sings it and puts a little comment about, I remember being at Harold's Place the night that James read it, and how excited he was, and we used to go down to Albion Street, and Tom Waddell lived next door. I don't know if you know Tom Waddell. He was a Olympian athlete and a gay physician, and a really important person in gay politics here in San Francisco. That I didn't even know he used to live on Albion Street. So these stories still coming out, and there's still a lot to document and tell. And so on Wednesday night we were at the Mechanics Institute with Kevin Killy and Regina Marler. Regina is the editor of the book Queer Beats, which I hope is for sale downstairs in the bookstore. It's an excellent book. It's called How the Beats Turned America Onto Sex. And she looks at beat writers, not just the men, but the women too, and how they broke through a lot of the censorship and the Puritanism. And Harold's prominently featured in that book. And she spoke, and Kevin Killian, who's a San Francisco-based writer, was really sweet in his stories of Harold, of bringing him actually to the Mechanics Institute. He told a story of Harold kvetching that his books weren't available in the library, the Eureka Valley Harvey Milk Library down there in the Castro. And Kevin, he's so sweet, he goes, oh, well that's just because everybody steals them because they want them. And a lot of other really warm anecdotes. And so these that presentation's been recorded, thanks to Mira. And I'll be getting all these up online, so you can watch that later. Also, in 2 weeks, we're going to be with Jason again down in Venice Beach at Beyond Baroque. We're going to do another Harold Norse Centennial event with LA poets and authors S.A. Griffin, Michael C. Ford, and the special guest is going to be the writer Tom Livingston, who was a very good friend of Harold's. First met him at the Beat Hotel in 1960. And so we're going to be doing this again.